Hi, welcome to the Golf Psychology Podcast. I'm Dr. Patrick Cohn here with Brock McCormack, one of our mental coaches at Peak Performance Sports. Today we're continuing our series on pre-round mental prep. However, this week we're once again talking about post-round assessment, which is very important for maintaining and improving your confidence going forward. You're watching the Golf Psychology Podcast.
So let's talk about a great mental game strategy for our post-round assessment. In our last episode, we talked about some productive ways to use statistics and your analysis to help you out. Let's talk about breaking down the mental game post-round and how we can use that to help ourselves evaluate where we need to improve with our mental game of golf. So with our golfers, we like to have them fill out post-round assessments for every practice round or big tournament round to break down the mental game, which we provide in our coaching. Let's talk about some of those questions and how we break that down with our golfers.
Yeah, so a lot of it depends on what we're working on with our golfers, Brock, that week. So, for example, if we're working on things like focus, we're going to ask some very specific questions about how was your focus? Did you stay in the moment? When you got distracted, what did you get distracted about? And then how were you able to deal with that distraction? So it can be very specific to what we're working on, but it can also be more general, I think, too. If we've been working with a golfer for, say, 3 months on the mental game, then we can broaden our horizon and talk about more concepts that we're going to assess post-round.
Definitely. And a lot of this ends up coming down to emotional control out on the course. That a lot of this has to do with managing and regulating our emotions, whether that be dealing with internal distractions of self-doubt, negative self-talk and chatter, or managing emotions after poor play, after missing a big putt that you really wanted to make, or double bogeying a hole. A lot of it comes down to emotion regulation, that it's not the double bogey that causes you the problem for the round. It's your reaction to that that leads to another double bogey that we need to break down more. That maybe it isn't your golf game. Maybe it's more your emotion reaction to that event.
Absolutely. And I think another big thing which we've talked about in this series is about how well did you trust in your skills? In other words, were you steering and guiding the ball around? Were you afraid of hitting it OB and then you hit it way in the other direction, for example? Were you steering and guiding the putter? Were you chopping at your chips and not chipping smoothly? So I think that's a big post-round mental game assessment piece, is how well are you swinging freely, sticking to your one swing thought, and not getting mechanical or too mechanical with yourself where you're jumping around to, 6 different swing thoughts.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I really wanted to mention focusing on what you want to do with a golf ball instead of what you don't want to do is a very popular distraction that we can experience out on the course, is seeing a hazard, seeing a tree line, bunker, water, and thinking, oh boy, don't go right. One thing we can analyze post-round is, was I focused on picking a smart target left of the fairway, or did I think don't hit it right and it was trying to avoid doing something that I don't want to do?
General rule of thumb, I think, for all golfers is focus on the shot you want to hit. And I call that having a positive intention. A positive intention is I'm thinking about my ball going towards the pin or on the green. A negative intention would be I'm thinking about sculling my shot. I'm thinking about hitting it in the bunker. I'm thinking about leaving this club short into the wind. Great point. And I think that should be an overall mindset for golfers, is try to have a positive intention of where you want the ball to go. I can't tell you how many golfers I've worked with where half the holes they're focused on what not to do, where not to hit the ball.
Absolutely. Very common, and something we can certainly talk about in our coaching process of how to challenge those self-doubts and worries out on the golf course. But one last thing that I wanted to mention is committing to your pre-shot routine and how we can analyze that post round as well. How important that I like to emphasize that with my golfers is, were you committed to your pre-shot routine on that putt, right? That's why you missed the putt. Is I rushed into it and didn't give the green a good read because I was frustrated I missed the last putt. Little things like that can save you strokes on your scorecard.
Good, but be careful that you don't turn the objective into having a perfect routine. The purpose of the routine is to help you plan your shot, visualize your shot, be focused, be confident, be trusting. It's not to execute a perfect routine, but definitely that's a good post-round assessment or question that golfers can have. Hey, if you want an example of one of our post-round assessments, jump over to peaksports.com and contact us and make sure that you say that you've saw this podcast and you would like an example of a post-round assessment we use with our golfers. We're happy to email that out to you. In addition, if you want more tips and strategies, jump over to sportspsychologygolf.com. There you can download a free ebook to improve your pre-shot routine and the top mistakes you might be making in your pre-shot routine as well. And certainly watch other videos, listen to podcasts, and read articles as well. Thanks for joining us on the Golf Psychology Podcast.